Greetings, it's your boy Gartasia. Today is a beautiful Sunday. You see, I'm wearing my sun colors. We got black and yellow, black and yellow. Big shout out to Wiz Khalifa. You feel me? Today I'm feeling very black and yellow, quite like a bumblebee, some might say. Save the bees, but I'ma still eat honey. Um, Today I have a very interesting, epiphany that I've had. If you're somebody who's just trying to understand how, you know, patterns in your life kind of keep repeating, how you keep getting stuck in cycles, how things tend to come full circle, right? And like why it took so long, why were you stuck in this, negative feedback loop? What made you finally get the courage to leave the friend group, so on and so forth, right? And see, two things kind of brought me to this kind of, I don't want to say a playbook, but it just really helped clarify, you know, to understand, how I got to the point I'm at today. And hopefully this can help you all in your journeys. If you're not a place you want to be, it might help you, uncover the things behind that, what's holding you back, right? And what kind of brought that to my attention today is I had a very extremely interesting podcast guest come on. Shout out Tiana Aura, and just beautiful vibes. And her story was so impactful and just relatable. And basically, her story was, what she told me, just growing up, how she started off in a big city, Indianapolis, and basically, at a certain age, like late middle school, sixth, seventh grade, she basically moved to a much smaller town. I'm not gonna say the name, but she moved from Indianapolis to a much smaller city, and basically her parents wanted her to be safe. They wanted her to have not crazy inner city public school experience. So she went to this township school, and basically she told me how she went from Indianapolis, kind of exploring herself at that age of getting to find lasting friend groups, finally getting acclimated to like, okay, bam, all that out the door, and now it's like find a new friend group, fit back in. So the story was interesting because she kind of walked through the evolution of, what it was like when she first got there, kind of that first stage of a fish out of water. It was a, mostly all white school. She was black. It was mostly, just, it was very clicky, different classes and stuff. Something that she was unfamiliar with, of kind of like the, you know, we just all chip off the old block vibe from Indianapolis. This was more like, oh, this family, for generations their last name is prominent, and like this family is known for being this. So it was one of those situations, and it was really interesting to me. So essentially, her story was, when she first got there, it was like, how do I fit in? I'm trying to find my friend group. But basically, like, not fitting in, and kind of those first few months to years, trying to fit in, like trying to fit in with the rich kids, like what was popular back then, like wearing Abercrombie, wearing Aeropostale. So kind of going through that phase of like trying to dress up and fit in with the rich kids. And then when she saw that fitting in didn't work, and she told me how like she went through this next phase of like, okay, since I don't fit in, I'm kind of gonna go through a phase of like, fitting in with everybody, right? So it's, I'm hanging out with the cool kids, I'm hanging out with the rich kids, I'm hanging out with the jocks, I'm hanging out with the cheerleaders. Like, just kind of this phase of like, okay, since I don't belong anywhere, I'm just gonna be all over the place phase. And then she goes to the phase of like, okay, now I kind of find the edgy group, I kind of find the party group, right? I kind of find the, let's throw a rave in that abandoned warehouse group, right? And then she kind of runs through that phase, but still at the core, the phase of like looking, for a community, looking for a tribe, right? And then what was really interesting to me, she said, she kind of evolved from this party phase, and she discovered veganism, and how with veganism she felt like this was finally her tribe, finally, you know, she was really involved with the animal rights activist movement, really involved with, just help the planet, let's save nature, let's end animal cruelty type stuff. And then, she got really passionate behind that, really rallied behind that. It's a really fascinating podcast episode. Like, I don't want to spoil it because that's how good it is. But she tells some interesting stories of how, like, she was, like, at the farms, at the slaughterhouses, like, they're in the van, like, on some Scooby Doo shit. Hop in the car, like, rescuing chickens and stuff from the barn, like, giving the cows, like, water and stuff before they go to the slaughterhouse, hearing the screams, like, just a super powerful story. And how like she built a bond with like the vegan community, and she felt like she finally found her tribe, right, with that community. But basically how like, she finally got what she was kind of searching for ever since her childhood. That piece of like, oh, I finally belong somewhere. That piece of like, okay, this is my tribe. And how like after she experienced that, how like she cut off her close ones, she cut off friends. Basically like she cut off a lot of people in her life, right? Because the new ideologies, the new behavior she adapted under this new, she called it a cult, but under this new tribe, kind of made her do the same thing those other groups did to her, which is like ostracize her, outcast, right? Fortunately for her though, she was able to have the mindfulness to kind of take a step back, like, whoa, as much as like this feels like tribe and as much as this feels like I belong, I just don't resonate with like cutting off my family. He said it got to a point where she was cutting off family and friends, right? So, she leaves this kind of group and just kind of takes the time off to find herself and is in another phase of her life, a whole new phase where it's no longer, seeking to be a part. It's now I'm happy with who I am and I don't need external, membership to anything, right? I'm complete within myself. So that story was so fascinating to me, and how my brain works, I get to like draw on a tangent. I'm just like, I don't say it there, but later on I'm thinking like, I've actually been thinking a lot lately of this concept of how life is like a video game, right? And then it's gonna, like, after I explain the story, it'll all make sense to you. So basically the analogy I was thinking of, like, so growing up, I was a complete like PlayStation addict. I was like team Sony, team PlayStation, fuck the Xbox, fuck the ops, like fuck Nintendo. I was like a purist. I was like, Sony to the grave, I ride for you, I die for my, you know what I'm saying? Like that's how loyal I was. I was a PlayStation loyalist, right? And I've had, I don't think I've had PlayStation 1, but I've had all the PlayStations. Like I was a legit hardcore fan, right? And so basically how it was my older brother had the PlayStation 1, and then I remember like playing Crash Bandicoot. I remember playing like Tomb Raider, right? At like 3 or 4. Like I just remember, like I can have vivid memories of like playing Crash Bandicoot. It was my first love, right? Those before we have flat screen TVs, we have those big, those big TVs. Just playing with those, with the red, yellow, and white AV cables before we had HDMI. Y'all don't know nothing about that. When you had to spit on the CD disc and wipe it with some tissue, y'all do not know nothing about that. But anywho, so yeah, so PlayStation 1, right? And then somewhere along the line, I think it was my 7th birthday. For my 7th birthday, I got a new TV, and then I just remember PlayStation 2 was all the hype, right? So it's like, now you got PS2. I can't play Grand Theft Auto, but I'm like watching my brother play Grand Theft Auto. I'm playing Ratchet and Clank. I make some of the best memories on PlayStation 2, right? PlayStation 2 was like a huge experience for me. Like that's where I had games like Lego Star Wars, played games like Star Wars Battlefront. Like PlayStation 2 had the most nostalgic, amazing memories for me, right? Like I played PlayStation 2 for like from like 7 to like 12. PlayStation 2 was what was up. That was all the rave, right? The Mark of Cree, Downhill Domination, Midnight Club, LA Dub Remix, like all of these classic PlayStation 2 games. Those Lord of the Rings movie games they used to do, like The Hobbit. I could go on and on. Like PlayStation 2, amazing, right? Great memories, whatever. But all my friends played PlayStation 2. That was what was cool. All my friends played it. I played it. It was great, right? So what happens? I see a bunch of my friends. Suddenly they're like, "Oh yeah, Gartasia, PlayStation 3 is out." You know what I'm saying? So we might move on. At the time, I didn't have money to get a PS3, right? So I was kind of jealous. Like a lot of my friends are playing PS3. Also, I'm kind of so PS2 started getting boring. So I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. I really want to go to PS3. That's where all my friends are. So what do I start doing? I start looking at the press reviews. I start looking at the press conference, the Sony press conferences. I'm watching unboxing videos. I'm watching, because I'm just like so excited, right? Like the expectation of like getting it was so big. Like I'm watching these press conferences, all the reviews, the new games that are coming out, God of War. I'm just like, ooh, I can't wait to get my fingers in. I can't wait to see the new graphics. I can't wait to play with my friends, right, who already got the PS3. So fast forward like 2013, I think it's my 13th or 14th birthday. I finally get the PS3, right? And I'm just like, yes, this is the greatest day ever. PS3, right? It was a used PlayStation 3. and I got it off eBay. I'll never forget. I got a used PlayStation 3 for, it was the fat version. I got a used PlayStation 3 for like, it was a steal, like I think $99 or $100, which was a lot of money back then. Money that I think I saved from like cleaning the yard or something. I don't know, but I saved up, and at about 13, 12, yeah, I was 13. At 13, I got a used, refurbished PlayStation 3, and life was good, right? I'm playing, Lord of the Rings Conquest. I'm playing UFC Ultimate Fighter. Like, I'm just like, oh, these new graphics is amazing, right? I'm playing Uncharted. Oh my God, I'm playing Uncharted 2, the game, like, in my opinion, the greatest game ever made. So this is, PlayStation 3 had some of the most amazing moments for me, right? Like moments that I cherish, moments that I'll never forget, life changing moments. Uncharted 2, just the feeling, the soundtrack, you know, The Last of Us. I'm playing The Last of Us, right? My senior year of college, or junior year of high school, right? I'm like, so PlayStation 3, I had it from, I'm playing PlayStation 3 from 13 all the way to like 17, right? So this 4 year gap, PlayStation 3 is on the menu, right? All these amazing games, amazing online. That's when I really get into the online world, and the lobbies, Star Wars, not Star Wars, Battlefront, the Battlefront games, like just really getting into the online competitive world, amazing memories, right? But then somewhere along the line, again, all my friends, they're like, yo, PlayStation 4 is coming out, so they all migrate to the PlayStation 4. So hang in there. I'm gonna relate the concepts. This will make sense. So just hang with the story. So they all go to PlayStation 4, right? And I'm just like, oh yeah, man. I was having fun with PlayStation 3, but all my friends on PlayStation 4. So like, yeah, I feel like I need to go. Once again, didn't have the money, but I start saving up because like I see the futures in PS4, right? Just like with PS2, I'm getting hyped again. I'm looking at unboxing videos. I'm watching press conferences. I'm watching CEOs of the company, come in and do these, what is it? These, not Comic-Con, but just like people can come in and like test the console. I'm going to my friend's house, seeing them play it. I'm just like, whoa, this looks so cool, right? So finally, I believe I just graduated high school. So I'm 18, and then I get my first job. It's literally like a tutoring job. So I save up at 18, I buy my PlayStation 4. Right? So from 13 to 18, PS3. At 18, I get my PS4, and I'm like, yes, I'm finally a cool kid now, right? So I get the PS4, right? And I'm having great memories, great experience. PS4, to be honest, PS4, not as, impactful as the PS3. Also, not as impactful as the PS4. Every new console I would get, my expectations were even higher. But then when I actually got it, I was like, it was still fun. It was still great. My friends were there, but it just didn't have that feeling that it used to have, right? Graphics weren't as better as I thought, but still some great memories, still some great games. We had the Star Wars Battlefront games, the new remakes they made. We had, I think I got into the Call of Duty realm. Like I got into Call of Duty realms. I think I got Call of Duty Ghosts. Whatever, Just Dance, whatever. I got into The Last of Us Chapter 2. So throughout college, these are the games I'm playing. Not playing as much, but still, this is what I have. My friends are here. Life is good, right? But somewhere along the line, right, about 2 years ago, PlayStation 5 comes out. And something interesting happens. PlayStation 5 comes out, right? All my friends hop onto the PlayStation 5, right? But then what I noticed is I didn't really I didn't feel the need to get it as much. I had the money saved, right? I could have bought the PS5, but something happened. Like I didn't really have the urge to buy the PS5. And I was like, that's interesting. All the other ones, I just jumped on the bandwagon to just buy the consoles. But something's different with this PS5. What's different? So I kind of like dived deep into myself, and I was kind of looking at like what changed. Okay, obviously I got older. Obviously I got more responsibilities, right? But what really changed? Because I had responsibilities in high school. I was studying in a different country, in a different language, and I still found time to play, to make gaming my number one thing, right? Where did the passion to like game with my friends, where did that evaporate to? So I was digging, and I was like, oh, my friends. That the key was with my friends. The key was the people I was hanging around, right, weren't playing PlayStation as much. They weren't playing video games as much. So I, hanging around them more, I stopped valuing it as much. So when the few of my friends who did still play, was like, hop on the game, hop on the bandwagon, let's go. I was like, I'm good. I'll sit this one out. I'll pass because that was no longer my reality. That was no longer in my, you know, modus operandi. That was no longer in my circle of influence, right? So, I felt less of a need, to feel that pull to just jump on the next big thing, right? I say all this to say, right? A lot of times, we go through life, right? Just like the example, with my amazing guest I did before, her PlayStation 1 was being in her PlayStation 1 was going to that new school, right? Not fitting in, right? So the social influences were like, oh, it's all these social influences. It must be so cool to hang out with the cool kids, right? So that's the PlayStation 1. Her PlayStation 2 is, okay, now I'm dressing cool, right? I'm fitting in with the new kids, right? And it's fun for a while, but then it's like, yeah, it's kind of boring. Like, I feel like it's not really me, right? And then that's where it's like the PlayStation 3 comes in. It's like, you know what? I'm just gonna have fun and party. That's the new influence. That's the new social, that's what's cool now. That's a new external thing that's like, the dangling carrot. So I do that. That's her PlayStation 3. What's her PlayStation 4? Her PlayStation 4, right? That's the, okay, this is it. This is finally my community. I feel like I'm home, right? And then the veganism, right? Joins that. And then, at some point, has fun with that for a while, but then is like, yeah, I kind of don't resonate with the things I'm having to do. I'm not resonating with the choices I have to make, right? So what does she do? Decides to kind of take a break from veganism, chooses to use the word plant-based, and that's that same analogy with me, right? Experiencing, all these different levels of like the PlayStation, right? Just like so many of us experience all these different levels of, being, influenced so heavily by the social aspect, right? By being influenced so heavily by a certain external, pull, right? For some people, that external pull could be, the escalation of, the friend, right? Or what you do socially. So some people, it starts off, socially, they just have besties, right? It's just you and your bestie. Then that expands to they're going to parties. Then that expands to the party's not enough, right? Now they're doing drugs. Then that expands to the drugs not enough. Now they are, having orgies or like group sex and shit like that. But you see how it escalates to another level, right? And then I feel like the problem is, the guest I had, she was fortunate that it got to a point where the benefit of kind of hanging with this group, right, was less than the pain she was feeling of like losing contact with her friends and family, losing the old things she used to do, losing connection to her inner self, right? So when that pain became more than kind of the benefits of like, oh, being a part of something, that was enough to push her like, no, say goodbye to that part. I don't need that anymore, right? But I feel like a lot of people, right, they continue playing the PS5, playing the PS6, right? Because they continue to hang around that group of people. They continue to be in that same circle of influence, right? Which makes them like tunnel vision. That's all they see, right? All they'll know is what's around them. That's why that saying that, give me a man and his friends, his top three friends, or give me a man and tell me his top three friends, and then I'll tell you who he is. I think I butchered it, but that saying is like so true because yeah, just the analogy with the PlayStation. I saw that as I stopped hanging around gamers that much, I didn't feel the need to game as much. And the same thing is true. So I say all this to say if you find yourself stuck in a pattern, if you find yourself continuously self-harming, if you find yourself continuously doing things that don't serve you, right? Like continuously hurting yourself or continuously, your health is deteriorating because, you find yourself, drinking too much. You find yourself doing too many drugs. You find yourself, in situations that are just not what you want, in unfavorable situations. If you repetitively see that, right, a lot of times it's nothing about discipline. It's nothing about willpower. It's nothing about there's something wrong with you. It has everything to do with who you're spending your time with, right? The more you spend time with people who do that, the more that whatever that new thing they're trying to do, that new drug they're trying to make you do, that new crime they're trying to make you do, that new, finessing or, cyber crime scheme or whatever they're trying to do, right? You're not going to be so down to do it if that's not the kind of people you're around, right? So just like, yeah, nothing really like, oh, this is like law and, this is not science, right? But, just from my experience, it has been true time and time again that you are who you hang around, right? And you are who you spend a lot of time with. So I hope this analogy kind of helped clarify things for you. A lot of you all are gamers, so I just figured this would be a nice analogy to use. But yeah, just really look around at who you're spending your time with, and a lot of times that will give you, a lot of insight into the next steps you need to do so that you can be one step ahead of the game and one rung in the ladder towards reaching your goals. With that being said, I hope this helped. And as always, stay hydrated, stay breathing in that good ass oxygen, and most importantly, stay basic. I love you.